I'm sure, like me, you've had a number of influencers in your life, and they can be positive and negative influencers. It's our choice. But can you share maybe two or three that have been?
Yeah, so you're going to think I'm stealing your answer, but I'm not. My grandma, mom's mom, was and still is to this day, although her earth suit has expired, one of the best friends I have. And I still connect with her on a very regular basis. And I'm not guessing, Mark, what she would say. I know because I know her, and we're able to continue that deep connection. Like I said, now that it's a little different visually, it does not mean the connection is any different. In fact, in some ways, it's stronger. And one of the things that she said, I had the opportunity and the pleasure of being able to be very near her towards the end of her life. And I remember I was in the hospital and I was just really distraught. And I was like, Grandma, I'm not ready for you to go. I have so much more to learn from you. Um, she was just such a pillar of strength and support in my life. And she said, You don't need me. You know all that you need to know. I was like, No, I don't. And she said, Just be yourself. And in that moment, there's a lot of things going through your mind, but I have reflected on those few words so frequently. And as you and I have talked about a lot, when we are our truest self, when we are really in tune with our soul and sharing that piece of us with the world, that is exactly what the world needs. That's what the world needs from you. That's what the world needs from my children. That's what the world needs from me. And that's where those true connections are made because hearts connect with hearts. There are enough books in this world and technical things in this world. I mean, we can access all of the stuff that we want to, but as far as connection is concerned, it comes from unveiling, removing the armor, taking off the mask, and connecting. And I believe that's what she was saying. And so that has really stuck with me over the years. And
I
and
love
it's an
that.
ongoing process because just when you think that you're being completely vulnerable and sharing yourself with the world, you realize that you have reached the perimeter of your comfort and you need to figure out what that's about. What am I uncomfortable about moving forward? What am I uncomfortable about sharing that thing or exposing that part of my past? What is uncomfortable about that? And then the work continues.
Yeah, I love that example.
So,
If we get to the next one, I spoke to a CEO about a year ago, and he said, I'm having the best time being a CEO ever. I can actually be emotional. I can be vulnerable and not pretend to know
mm,
everything. And I had to learn how to trust my people, and the great people just zoomed up in what they were doing. They were flourishing because I trusted them. And I see that in sports all the time too. Great story about your grandma. I totally believe in the same things you're talking about because I do that with my grandfather as well and stuff. So it's amazing. Anybody else you want to share about?
man, so many. I really enjoy the early 20th century thought leaders. So there are just a list of them, but I like reading old authors. And so, um, whether that's, Neville Goddard or Florence Scovel Shinn or, some of the people in that realm, moving on to people like Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor, I never got to meet him in person, but he's one of the very few people that like I actually felt like emotional when I found out that he passed. And it was just momentary because in that moment, I was like, hang on a second. Um, from starting with my dad passing at age 16 within a 12-year period, I lost six of my pillar adults. And so I got to learn a lot about loss and decide how I wanted to think about death and relationships and continuing those relationships at a very early age. And so in a split second, I was like, wait a minute, he's not gone. There is so much content and so many ways to still continue to learn from not just him, but all of the people who have been willing to, like we were just saying, really put themselves out there, share their truth, which is why um, my mission is to help 100 million people access their truth. Because when we can share that, we just raise the vibration of this planet in such a beautiful way.
I'm still hearing the curious, explorative, imaginative kid that we started talking about at the very beginning, which is great. Don't lose it because that's I'm not saying I know that's 100% where it comes from, but it's clearly there. And there is the line through to
Yeah.
that. So that's like super exciting. Really, really great stuff. If there's anybody else you want to share really quick, that's fine. Otherwise, this is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, just so many people, but I think at this point I'm always fascinated with the people that I get to meet in my everyday life. I'm on calls every week, and some people, like, our relationship has bloomed. I get to meet and then meet
Yeah.
again and meet again, and it's just turned into something just so beautiful and transparent and genuine, and it's very rewarding to be able to see the beauty in each person that I meet, and create those connections, and it's like a beautiful ecosystem of connection.
And I think it also gives power, and this is what I love, is we should always remember. I love the Michael Jackson song about man in the mirror, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That we're always influencing people ourselves too, and we have a choice to be positive influence or the other. And it shouldn't actually be a choice. And it happens all the time. And it could even be in a second saying one thing to somebody. So right on about everything you just said. And thanks for sharing that. And say hi to grandma for me.
Absolutely.